Alright, I've got a confession to make. Yeah, I love Eevee, but I've got no clue what it's actually supposed to be. Is it a cat? Is it a dog? Is it a rabbit? A wolf? A fox? A floppa? I don't really know, but whatever it is, we love it. Hey there, I'm Kamikaze, and welcome back to the channel where it's always winter. In the last video, I talked about what makes Pikachu iconic. Today I'm going to talk about the unofficial second mascot of the Pokémon company, Eevee, whom needs no introduction. It's fairly safe to say that Eevee and its evolutions are loved by many across the board, and they have grown to become one of the most popular Pokémon in the franchise aside from Pikachu, of course. Although I'm going to be talking about Eevee primarily in this video, I will be touching bases with the 8 evolutions that it has and how these have helped to contribute to its rise in popularity. I encourage you to watch until the end, because you may learn something you didn't know about the most adorable ball of fluff in the whole Pokemon world. That said, let me know in the comments if you're on Team Pikachu or Team Eevee. I'm interested in what you have to say. With that out of the way, let's dive right into it. So as you know, Game Freak is responsible for the creation of Pokemon, and the original 151 in red and green all were different in design, fairly simple to know. When we reach number 133, Eevee, we are introduced to a Pokemon like no other in the generation. All Pokemon by most standards have a base form, first evolution, and then either a second evolution or an alternate evolution path. Eevee completely changes this by giving you the option to choose what it evolves into. In red and green there were only 3 options for evolution, that being Vaporeon the water type, Jolteon the electric type, and Flareon the fire type. The advantage here is that all 3 are incredibly strong for their typing, and at the time were some of the best in the game. If you needed a good electric type for your team, and didn't have a Pikachu at this point, Jolteon would be your go-to. Or maybe you needed a Pokemon to use Surf. Vaporeon's got your back. If you didn't pick Charmander as your starter and you had minimal access to good fire types, give Flareon a go. In contrast to all other Pokemon that would evolve by evolutionary stones in the first generation, none could compare it to Eevee. It was already popular because of its cute design, and the fact that just like Pikachu, it was incredibly rare to get, since at the time you could only get one singular Eevee in-game as a gift. It's a no-brainer that it would become one of the most loved in the franchise just from being cute, yet alone having its different options of evolution. According to Motofumi Fujiwara, the man responsible for Eevee's creation and design, as well as that of Jolteon and Flareon, the idea for Eevee began as a Pokemon that would represent a blank slate. This began to tumbleweed as he would begin to pull ideas from his childhood, where he states that one such instance included a time where he found himself lost in a forest, only to encounter an indefinable creature, therein leading to Eevee's main design. Now, if you remember the traits I talked about with Pikachu in our last video, you may recall that I mentioned Pikachu's pet-like appearance, and this I feel is 100% why people love Eevee so much. This of course would be Fujiwara's intentions, as his early design for Eevee resembled that of a cat or dog-like creature that could be found anywhere in the world, and of course, that would eventually become the Eevee that we know today. When I opened up the video with that silly question on what exactly Eevee was supposed to be, there was actually meaning behind the joke, and that was that it's actually none of those things. You can look at Eevee and notice dog characteristics, you can look at it and notice cat characteristics. Those super long ears, almost like a rabbit. And that in turn is why Fujiwara's design worked so well. Eevee's cuteness and pet familiarity turned it into a well-known Pokemon within the game and the franchise as a whole. It's also worth noting that Eevee's original name was actually going to be Eon, which would make sense since obviously each Eeveelution's name suffix ends with Eon, but just before the English release of Generation 1, Eevee's name officially became known as Eevee. To continue on the point of design, let's talk about the specifics of Eevee. From the official in-game and in-anime Pokédex readings, we can gather that Eevee is a small mammalian quadruped and is usually always brown in color with cream-colored tufts of fur adorning its neck and tail. It has brown beady eyes, big ears, and pink paw pads. It's able to adapt to its living conditions because of its irregularly shaped genetic structure, which allows it to evolve into its different forms. Aside from the cuteness factor, the big thing that makes Eevee popular is definitely the fact that it has multiple evolutions. Although it started out with only 3, there were more to follow as generations went on, and we'll briefly discuss them for context. I plan on talking about all the Eeveelutions in depth in an entirely different video, however, as if I covered them here in the video, it would probably be at least half an hour. So if that's something you're looking forward to see, make sure to subscribe and keep your eyes peeled for that video in the far future. Anyways, back on topic, in the first generation we began with Vaporeon, Jolteon, and Flareon. As new evolution methods were discovered in Pokemon Gold and Silver, which is what we refer to as Generation 2, 2 more Eeveelutions themed around evolving at certain times of the day were added, since that was the gimmick of that specific generation. These 2 new Eeveelutions, Umbreon the Dark type and Espeon the Psychic type, quickly gained popularity. Just a few years later, in Generation 4, we would get yet another set of Eeveelutions, that being the absolute best Eeveelution of all time, Glaceon, the Ice type, and Leafeon, the Grass type. These two focused more on the climate in which they were found, being that you evolve them based on rocks found in certain parts of the region with special evolutionary properties. To this day, they remain the only two Pokemon in existence to use this method of evolution in-game. It wouldn't be another 2 generations later that we would get our 8th Eeveelution with the introduction of Fairy typing, Sylveon, requiring it to know a Fairy type move and leveling it up with high friendship similar to that of Espeon and Umbreon. As each new Eeveelution was released, this made Eevee far more sought after than it already was. Now adorning 8 different possible evolutions that the player could choose between, it really made it a gift to have an Eevee, as there are many paths that the trainer can pick to decide what his or her Eevee will evolve into. As time went on, Eevee would slowly grow higher in its rise to fame when it became the Pokemon chosen to represent the Let's Go series alongside with Pikachu. According to Junichi Masuda, former composer and now head director at Game Freak, Eevee actually got its spot as the star role from fan art. Now if that doesn't explain on its own how much the world loves Eevee, I don't know what does. Eevee additionally was the Pokemon that the rival picks in Pokemon Yellow, which would further strengthen this choice since the two Pokemon practically complemented each other like bread and butter at this point. To further add to the fact that the world loves Eevee, in 2015 it was the highest wonder traded Pokemon in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, meaning that from around the world everybody was offering up their own Eevee to give somebody who could potentially be all the way on the other side of the planet their own version of Eevee. It has several times over been ranked as one of the cutest Pokemon in existence by such popular critics such as IGN and Kotaku, and it has become one of the biggest merchandised characters within the franchise due to its growing popularity. With the release of the Let's Go series and shortly after Pokemon Sword and Shield, Eevee was the second Pokemon in a main series game to have a voice after Pikachu, and now the beat goes on. As the franchise continues to gain traction and growth, so does Eevee's rise in popularity. It is why many have dubbed it as the secondary mascot of the franchise and why many have grown to love it so much. Why does the world love Eevee? Because it's a Pokemon that has so much going for it and has been touching the hearts of many just from its looks, its rarity, its multitude of evolutions, and most of all, from just being so daggum cute. It's the fact that it has its own mainline title game, that it has grown to become such a recognized character in the franchise, and has left its mark as an example of good design, both on its own and with its evolutions included. And that is why we, the world, love Eevee. Hey again, you made it to the end. I really want to thank you for watching this far. This was definitely a fun video to put together since I love Eevee so much. Now, if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and let me know in the comments below, and let me know if you're looking forward to see anything else about Eevee or its evolutions. Like I said, that's a video that I'm planning on making very soon. I'd love to hear what you have to say. If you really want to help, give that like button a tap and subscribe with the bell icon enabled to become a member of the Glaceon gang right here, right now. And of course, if there's another video that you want to see, don't hesitate to let me know. You guys are what make the Glaceon gang so great. Until the next video reaches your platform, I'm Kamikaze, but you can call me Kai. I hope you stay safe and have an amazing rest of your day. Thanks for watching.